The Super 7th year, Dragon Ball Legends in big 2025 has mostly disappointed. Well, at least that's how we're all feeling right now. The releases has sped up, but we haven't got Chrono Crystals to match that. They boasted a big update about the game, but it doesn't really feel like things have changed for the better. They were meant to make the PvP meta more enjoyable and balanced, but it's only gone in the opposite direction. So I thought I would compile some things in this video, listing every single thing Dragon Ball Legends is currently doing wrong. In places here and there, I will offer solutions as well, but I'm mostly a messenger for this video, so in the comment section, feel free to leave your own opinion about things you think they need to fix. And I will also add, in my last video talking about Dragon Ball Legends being unfair, a lot of you guys took the title very literally, running with the idea that I think there's literally nothing wrong and it's only got unfair now. I've been playing for 7 years, some of you guys started 2 years ago. I'm aware, but two things can be true. It can still be unfair, but it can get really unfair, and even more unfair, which is what it's seeming like. So hopefully they can get ahead of it before that happens. Let's get into this. So I think we should start with the hottest topic right now, which would be the supporter system. The whole supporter system, a lot of people just want it scrapped. But honestly, the way the developers work for things and make sure that things drop in Dragon Ball Legends, the odds are they've got a bunch of supporters lined up and there's just no way they're ever going to scrap the supporter system. So instead of scrapping it, I think they should just make it more free to play, and that should go without saying. I just spoke about how some of you guys just started playing Dragon Ball Legends 2 years ago, and you guys are in pain. But as a guy who's been here for 7 years, I know everything that's gone through this game and how they proceeded with some things. For example, when Zenkais come out, could you imagine that people didn't like them, but now people are begging for them? But the reason people didn't like them was because they were heavily paid to win. It was costing you 20,000 Chrono Crystals to Zenkai 7 one character. Now you don't even need souls for it, showing a progression where they started wanting to make money, but then they obviously made it more free to play because they wasn't getting consumption out of it. But with what they've done here, they've made it so that when you summon for characters, you would naturally pull supporters alongside them. So the odds of this becoming free to play is just less likely. But nonetheless, I don't think anybody wanted the supporter system, as it just creates a larger disparity between the free to play players and the pay to play players. So option 1 would be to completely remove it, but that's just not happening. So option 2, make it more free to play. There should be events where you can get some free to play supporters, or as more comes out, very likely that the beginner supporters, so the likes of Yajirobe and Dende, will become free to play options that you can get in the exchange shop. I think that's the best way that they can balance out for the people that dislike the support system, which I see it's the bulk, versus those that do actually want it in the game, which I haven't seen anybody say anything good about it. Just similar to the Zenkais, they went from being 20,000 Chrono Crystals to being completely free and offering you Chrono Crystals. Let's just talk about PvP, man. I spoke about this before, but the only thing that has changed this year in regards to how they develop units, I swear, is the value of ultras. If you summon for an ultra, you are guaranteed to dominate in PvP. But with Legends Limited, you do not know what you're going to get. This one's good, this one's bad, this one's balanced, but because there's an OP dangerous unit in the meta, that balanced unit just sucks. So it's overall just bad. It's either you're OP or you're not. And because there's such a disparity between some units and other units, the whole meta is just messed up. You have to rely on those top dogs if you want to have fun, and that's honestly appalling. The Super 7th year where they were saying they were going to make things better, it's just got worse. And the fact that they're releasing more units also makes things harder to keep up. So obviously, they just need to do a better job, and I think one way they could do this would be to restrict tags a bit more. The only unit that's really had a large restriction this year is Super Saiyan 4 Goku on Daima. We had the Sparkings from Future, Android 17 and 18, but they're Sparkings at the end of the day, and what was a good idea on paper wasn't executed. Together they nullify endurance, but if the Sparkings suck, the Sparkings suck. Nobody's gonna use them long term, which is very unfortunate. And then also, they're just not Zenkaiing or giving platinum equipments to the right picks. Sometimes they have got good picks, but also they're just not releasing enough. So the way they're managing PvP, it's just not the best. It's almost as if they don't play the game themselves. We are fully aware that some of them do. For example, Toshi and Yuka do actually play Dragon Ball Legends, but they're not exactly the testing team. I don't exactly have a solution for this, but they should simply just test their game a bit better. But if I was to suggest something, and this is not because I'm a content creator, but more so because Squadra, the new Dragon Ball game that a lot of people are moving over to play, literally has a content creator program where creators can get early access to the content they're going to release. If they did this to manage things that would come out, they might have a better opinion on units' kits, and they could tweak them before the unit enters the game for the wider public. But those are just my thoughts, simply basing it off Squadra. Hey man, if PvP is not going to be great, at least pull out some innovation in PvE. The events have been stale and it's just the same thing over and over again for a Chrono Crystal farm. If I can't enjoy PvP because I don't have the new units, I'd want to play a PvE event that's actually nice. I've cleared the story because I'm a long time player, and new players, they can't even clear a lot of the things because they don't have a lot of units. You're going to need Zenkais and good stars on your bench units to go through, for example, the Ultra Space Time Rush. But we need something that's actually fun. Everything follows the same PvP system. They added in the new battle update where you can go to the ground, but nothing's really changed in terms of what you can do, in a sense, offline. The whole game's online, but if I'm gonna farm chrono crystals, I also do want to have fun. There's just so much potential in this game. I spoke about the idea of us having to fight 1v5 or 3v5 instead of the 3v3, specifically only for PvE, because if the enemy had 5 allies, they would be cover changing a lot faster, and if there's units that heal in a certain way, it'd make it a lot more difficult to actually deal with them, because you're gonna have to prioritize certain attacks at a moment's notice. That alone increases the difficulty without doing pretty much anything, and in 7 years something like that hasn't been implemented. But this is something where I could see you guys having some good input here, so leave a comment down below for factors that you think could easily make PvE a lot more impactful. If you're currently enjoying the video, do me the favor and press the subscribe button, and if you haven't already, press that like button as well. Lets me know that you guys enjoy the video and pushes me to actually upload more. I'm gonna address chrono crystals here as an overall topic. Now, a lot of you guys think we are not getting more chrono crystals, but that is actually not true. We are getting more. We've got more than we ever got before, but that isn't the problem. The actual problem is that they're also releasing more units while capping the free-to-plays. We are getting a Legends Limited every single month, sometimes 2, and followed up by an Ultra. That is outrageous. Ultras barely have a pity system. I can't say they can't anymore because of Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's banner, but it's still barely. And Legends Limiteds are still hard to pull nonetheless, Ultras being harder than them. With the quantity they're releasing, there needs to be a good amount of increase to the chrono crystals, so the proportions that they've increased the chrono crystals that we've got in comparison to last year isn't good enough to keep up with the amount they're releasing, which makes things more difficult, and it makes it feel like we've actually got less chrono crystals. Let me lay it out clearer for you guys. Let's say we've got 3 units every single year, and for every unit they basically give you 20,000 chrono crystals, so in a year you would have got 60,000 chrono crystals total. That's cool, but in the next year, if they release 4 units instead of 3, you would hope that we get 80,000 chrono crystals because it would be 20,000 per unit. But instead, what they do is add only 5,000 chrono crystals as an increase for the total chrono crystals you get in the next year. So for an extra unit, you've only got 500 extra chrono crystals, which means you have to use your 65,000 chrono crystals to spread among more units now. It's not an even split, or if it is, it's gonna be a lesser even split. Everybody's getting less of the piece of the pie, which is obviously awful. And then you tie in the 20,000 chrono crystal cap. If you want to save to 20,000 chrono crystals, once you get above that, you can't get chrono crystals from the exchange shop. I can only get chrono crystals from the raid during certain times because all the events have been cleared. But once I'm above 20,000, that raid CC goes out the window and it's just gonna sit on the shelf because I can't claim it because of what? An invisible barrier. But the guys with the credit cards, they can go all the way to 200,000 through the pay to win shop. And I think that's just outrageous. It's something that's been brought up a lot, and it kind of just seems like they're ignoring us at this point. But hopefully one day these problems can get fixed. Let's talk about the exchange shops. There's a bunch of useless exchange shops, especially if you are a long time player in Dragon Ball Legends. There's just so many resources that you have, and the exchange shops themselves are just not good. For example, I have maxed out dual coins, which I do use, but the golden dual coins, the great dual coins, they do nothing. You want me to get Z power for the free to play ultras while I have them 14 stars, and they only have 2 awakened equipments, which honestly aren't good. If you want to force me to get titles, I've been done that. Other than that, there's pretty much only art boosting materials, which also don't have a big impact in PvP, though they do have an effect. They're mainly useful for PvE. Then it just goes back to the idea that PvE is very stale. It's been the same for almost 2 years now, which is just super unfortunate. The rare medals, once you clear the story, you have all these things here and they're pretty much just useless. You have your equipments for TOP, then you got nothing else to spend on. They want to somehow convince you that 5,000 rare medals is worth 1 slot remover. I have almost 200,000, and with that 200,000 I can only get 35 slot removers. That's insanity. Clearly there needs to be a revamp of the exchange shops to make them more fruitful, especially since they're not even giving us more chrono crystals in proportion to how much more they're releasing. The guilds, they tried to do that guild war stuff, it just didn't bang. I'm not even going to speak more on this, but it was just a fumble. Pay to win farm as well. The more stars you have, the better you're going to play, and trying to organize people at an exact time or a time slot, and the earlier you come on, the better it is. So whoever's guild is just just more active the earlier the time you choose. It's just going to win in most cases. It's not really a good system. They just need to rip Clash of Clans, in my opinion. Make it so that you have a whole 24-hour time slot to attack, and actually make a new game mode, not just copy and paste Tournament of Power. That's pretty lazy. Whatever it takes. If they gotta take a template from Dokkan Battle and put it into Legends for the Guild Wars, I'd love that. If they gotta take Gekishin Squandra, a similar system, and put it into Legends, I'd love that. It would obviously require a lot more work, but a lot more work is what it's gonna take to keep this game moving forward in a healthy manner. I think I hit all the main points for Dragon Ball Legends failures right now, so let me know in the comment section what you think about everything I said. Add more, because it's not unlikely that a developer might come across this video. Yuka has told me personally, when I was at LA, the Battle Hour 2024, she actually watches Virgil, a content creator you guys might have watched before. She's seen his reactions, so don't take that lightly, as it's very possible. But man, I really love this game and I want it to be a lot more fun than it is right now. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.